It all comes down to this, the final episode of season 1 of the Fantasy Football podcast. After 9 weeks of battling between me and David, today's outcome will either see me extend my lead or have David going level to finish season 1 at a draw. For anyone that hasn't listened to previous episodes, you'll be aware of what's at stake. For anyone who hasn't, I'll run through the rules quickly now. Each week, me and David pick 5-a-side teams based on a specific thing chosen by the home side, with the home side alternating between the two of us each week. The benefit from playing at home is that you're able to pick the theme and choose your players first, meaning the away side could lose out. Both of us are substitute options in the case of a duplicate player or the need for an injection of something different, but we can only use one sub. Once our sub is gone, we're left with what we have in our starting 11, and if there are any other duplicate picks, the person who chose first gets an automatic point. We've both developed our playing style as the weeks have gone on. David's risky picks seeing victorious, with me having to develop a more ruthless approach, as my early sentimental picks saw me lose out. However, I was able to capitalise when it came to picking sitcom characters, celebrity chefs and food icons. Last week, David defeated me at my own game, as he beat me at my chosen subject of Oscar-winning characters. Between falling back into my old trend of picking players from the heart rather than the head, and David playing it old school by putting my 90s and early noughties characters against characters from far longer ago, David took a deserved win to claw back the deficit. We've enjoyed playing this game every week, and assuming people continue to enjoy it, we will do the same in season 2, or at least a game of a similar style. That said, future plans go out the window when it all comes down to this week's results and whether or not David can get things back to level terms. So without further ado, I will ask David if he enjoyed his winner's prize from last week and what his thoughts are on this week's theme. David?
Yeah, what a prize it was this week. An envelope came through my door just yesterday. Light, first-class postage stamp attached. I opened it up, and inside, a post-it note, scrawled in the inimitable handwriting of Rob Lambert, were the words, friendship, brackets, the gift of, close brackets.
I mean, what prize is better than that?
I mean, it's reflective of the season. I think, nostalgic mood, isn't it? So,
yeah.
As we look back on 9 episodes of fun, and as we head towards a final 10th episode of fun, I think the real prizes were the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
People like Spurs fan 2010, holler at you.
Yeah.
We also had, and who can forget Gandalf is better than Saruman, who was a regular commenter on all of our Instagram posts. True friends all, but none truer than the man that started this alongside me, who's been co-hosting away like a trooper. So thank you, Rob. I think that's probably it's probably one of the better prizes of the season, and it might be the last one we send. I don't know if we'll send a prize out at the end of this one.
No, true. I think the prize at the end of this isn't the friends we made along the way, but in fact either an extended lead for me or a draw for you. Which obviously a draw for you would mean a draw for me as well. So it's the honour we play for today.
Yeah, are we thinking? How do we feel about goal difference?
That's a good point. That may play a part. That's the sort of thing maybe like theorists online may actually decide if it ends in a draw, maybe people online will find the actual winner based on that. I'm scared to look in case I've actually lost on a technicality.
I think the actual winner were the friends we made along the way.
Yeah, let's stick with that, I think.
Perfect. Well, speaking of friends you make along the way, that segue doesn't work. This week's theme is Pixar. Obviously chosen by me. Big Pixar fan. I remember I was introduced to the Pixar One Universe theory on a National Express coach when it broke down on the side of the road, and some guy in front of me turned around, said I looked like John Richardson, and then proceeded to tell me about the Pixar One Universe theory. So, baby Chris, shout. We never planned to keep in touch with baby Chris, but he did find me on Facebook and he messaged me, but it went into one of those. It went into like that other category.
Oh, right.
And by the time I'd realised it, like 18 months had passed, so I never messaged him back. But we've always known him as Baby Chris. He's a big name in this house. So thanks, Baby Chris. But that really did like pique my interest in like Pixar as a big universe. I love a big universe.
No,
so yeah, Pixar. I think there's some interesting stuff in there, and I think it's a good week for you as well. So we should end on a high.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the idea of having like all films from a certain like saga in one universe it's always obviously the MCU's made it like a big thing, but this is before that. Like Pixar did that since the start, really. There's been like links between Toy Story and Bugs Life and Monsters Inc. from the start. So they've been so clever to do stuff like that. And when you consider things like other sort of animated alternatives, even like The Simpsons are so bad at continuity, almost like famously poor for it. And but you know, even from like the early 90s, Pixar's managed to do that and made like a whole universe that people enjoy. I mean, I do wonder if maybe you've been even more smart with picking this than you've made out, because I think there's obviously bound to be a lot of sentimental picks for both of us, and this could be my downfall. But I've still tried to stay strong to my picks, so I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't work out too well for me the last couple of games I've picked, actually. So I lost food mascots on a roll of the dice, and then I went ahead and lost sitcom stars, and I lost that like convincingly. So I'm hoping to stop the rot here, hoping to level up the series at 5-all, and then see where it goes from there.
One thing that I need to remind you of, because I always do, and I'm determined that we're going to keep doing it, is team names.
Yes.
What is your team name?
It's really rubbish, and
yeah.
So I thought this is normally where you shine. So I've hoped to like help you shine brighter, and in doing so, I'm going to be so poor that it just makes you glow that much stronger. So I've gone for Carlisle United.
That's, you know what? That's the one film I couldn't really find one for. That's a very clever one.
There you go.
I've had a very poor week for these, and I think it was last week. I think it's probably the best ever week last week, because I had so many good ones, and then I also had Francis McDormand was my team. I'm so happy with that. This week I did struggle a bit, and I actually ended up taking out. I had some with player names in it, but then I took it out because I thought that's going to give it away, and it may possibly help you later on. So I didn't want to chance that. So instead, I've sort of gone for Pixar or Pixar film names with footballer names. Okay. So my other options included Edwin van der Pixar.
Great start.
Royce Story.
Great start.
Pushing it, but I had to have a Finding Nemo one, so I went for Finding Timo, like Timo Werner. And obviously, like it's kind of become like an ongoing problem for Chelsea players in the box and him not do anything with it. So that has a couple of levels to it. Razvan Ratatouille.
Oof.
Famous, well, kind of like very moderately memorable West Ham fullback Razvan Rat.
Best is I think just known fullback, not well known. Not unknown.
Yeah, exists.
Yeah.
Some might say. I've got Inside Count.
Beautiful.
This is a bit of a crap one, but I've got Yup, like up, but Yup Heynckes. Tribute to Yup Heynckes, who was amazing, by the way. Hong Min Sonwood. Like the film, I haven't actually seen Onward, but that's like the late. I think that's that's the latest one apart from Soul.
Yeah.
And I've got my other backup option is Football E. But for my team name, because I do I know we've mentioned being a bit sentimental this week, but I think for my team name I had to pick pick one that was quite soft and sort of heartfelt and sort of pay tribute to past weeks. And I know one of our running jokes, really, especially with team names, was that you could always fit Fred into one. So for my, and it also kind of works similar to the Invincibles team, the famous Invincibles team, Arsenal.
Oh no!
Or the unbeatable, the unbearables.
I know what this is going to be.
The unbearables at Liverpool. I just had to go for the Infredibles.
Oh no!
There's no avoiding it. When I thought of it, I thought this is my worst one, but we've had a Fred name nearly every week. I think we try and get a Fred name, and for some reason a Hull City reference in every week. So neither of us support Hull or even have a fondness for Hull. I've got a friend who supports Hull, and he said he enjoyed the Hull references. So I thought, well, there we go. We'll do that then. But we've failed to do that recently. But the Fred stuff stands. So for the Man U midfielder and the former Brazil striker as well, who's also called Fred, this is for you.
What a glorious way to start this, our 10th episode and final one of the season. So, to start this episode, I am going to go back to the old format, which was here for one episode, where we started from the back and worked our way forwards. So it's goalkeeper for me, first up.
Oh.
And I've gone for someone from The Incredibles, which probably gives it away straight off the bat. I've gone for Elastigirl, a.k.a. Mrs. Incredible. Just obvious reasons, really. Stretchy arms. She's going to get to everything.
That's fair. And you know what, as well, I do I was thinking this before. I feel like I've spent so much time just going for massive, bulky players to go in goal when really we could have just gone for, stretchy or tall, lanky players. And it's only like, I think it's because last night I was watching Chelsea v Real Madrid, and then obviously Courtois was in goal for Real Madrid, and I thought, what? Why don't we just go for someone really lanky with long arms? So what you've done really makes sense, and I wouldn't even think to do it. So I'll give you that. But out of all my positions, really, my striker was a hard one to pick. But I kind of thought, well, you need, I was happy with the rest of my picks, so I thought, well, for striker, I'll go for somebody who's kind of like a sort of a proper superstar. And so I kind of went quite on the nose with it, and I've gone for Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story.
Oh yeah, fine.
Because I just thought, like, it's kind of similar to just having Master Chief up front. It's one of them kind of like, just bung him on because he's a proven, he can do it. He can do it. How we determine this, I've no idea. I'm already Googling who's who's the best.
Toy Story, obviously, huge sentimental place in everyone of our age anyway. If you're born in the 90s, Toy Story like hits, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When Toy Story 3 came out, like, you identified with it. You were like looking at Lotso and you're like, oh my god, that's like literally all the toys I've just thrown out. Oh god.
Yeah.
And then they brought out Toy Story 4, and we, some of us don't like to talk about that. Some of us do.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of gave up on some of them, but I still love the first two. I don't know, like when you sort of feel like it's personal to you, and you're like, stop making more of them now. It's not the same now.
I got 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Happy with. Thought that was a really good 3 series out, and then I thought 4 like just didn't do it for me. It just seemed to like rip up the characters, and there was a lot of like, what? I think it just lost itself in kind of, it felt like a bit of a money grab. But I know other people really liked it. I don't hate it enough to go on a campaign about it. Would I watch it again? Probably not. But
no, and I feel like it's kind of a sign of like growing up that when you start to realize that some films are just made for money.
Yeah.
Because I remember I used to hate Mark Kermode, the film critic. And I remember he used to say the Pirates of the Caribbean films were just made for money. And when I was about like 12 or something, and the first one came out, whatever I would have been, I remember thinking, well, no, it's entertaining and it's great and stuff. But then when they kept making them, and when I look back now, I kind of go, he was right. They were, of course they were. They made far too many, and it was just bullshit after a few of them. So I don't know. But I do feel like that with some films now. And it is weirdly frustrating because you just make, if it's been enjoyable, just let it live instead of keeping making them over and over again without any like depth anymore. And that's why I don't like the new Jurassic World films. But that's another story for another time. But yeah, I don't know how we decide there.
So I'm pretty confident with Helen Parr in goal. I think she fits her position really well.
It definitely makes more. There's more reasoning to it than what I've done because I've bunged in the biggest name because I'm not sure what else to do. I'll admit to that.
That's the only way I can split it on the face of it. I do think if we were the sort of show that captured like influence across the rest of the team, I think you would be getting there'd be like a little gain across your whole team for having Buzz in there.
Yeah, I think because he leads the line, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he really gets them all on board, and he's like a Gaza or something where they're like, brilliant, he's playing.
Yeah.
Now we're going to perform.
His Spanish Buzz stage is definitely it's a very Gaza thing to do.
Yeah, and it actually made me laugh because I was putting in, when I was looking at Buzz Lightyear versus Mrs. Incredible, it came up with I can't find it now, which is annoying, but it came up with the female character who played when he was doing that tea party.
Oh yeah.
What was it? I can't think what it was called now. But it made me laugh a few minutes ago, and now I've completely lost it. But yeah, I'm not sure. There isn't actually like a fight between them. Annoying, Mrs. Nesbitt. That's it. There's not actually a fight between them anywhere, and it's quite sexist really, because if anything, people have only put Buzz versus Mr. Incredible. But yeah, so I don't know how we choose it. But I don't know. I mean, I do kind of wonder if yours would win because she's so stretchy, whereas Buzz does make the odd error.
That's kind of where I think I'm leaning towards Elastigirl taking it, just because she is really dependable.
Yeah, it is that. I mean, and I think as the weeks have gone on with this podcast, we've sort of, I think, going for like the mentality part of it makes such a big difference, because there are some where I know they've got all the ability, but it's like Super Hands when we spoke about that, and we're like, yeah, he could do it, but would he actually like be able to last the course? or like when we had a few that were clearly the types to lose their head, you thought, yeah, but they'd obviously end up getting sent off, let's be honest. So maybe that's a bit of a situation with this. So I don't know. I do think maybe realistically Mrs. Fantastic Mrs. Incredible. I keep saying Mrs. Fantastic. So everything comes up as Fantastic Four because of the front. I don't know, the stretchiness. I don't know. But yeah, so I'll give you it.
Ooh, an early lead. How unlike me.
I might regret it.
Next up, I also had trouble picking a striker this week. I'm not really sure why. So I think I'm going to tackle that. We've got a lead. Maybe we can, I want to stay ahead in this one. I always want to be a little bit ahead. So now's the time really to do the striker rather than have a huge collapse. So probably my weakest pick, but I decided that if he could find his son in the ocean, he could probably find the bottom corner a couple of times in a match. So I've gone for Marlin from Finding Nemo. That's
I didn't expect that. I've gone for pretty much exactly what we were just talking about goalkeepers. That I always try and pick someone big who's kind of like a big, not only sort of like physically big, but also a big presence. Like, and I thought who ticks both those boxes, and I'm not sure if you've seen the film Brave, but there's a character in that called King Fergus, played by voiced by Billy Connolly, and he's missing a leg, but he's absolutely massive. Like, must be like, God knows, like 7 foot tall, and he's the broadest person in the whole film.
Yeah,
and also he's a proper like live wire the whole time because he's Billy Connolly. So I've gone for King Ferguson goal just for the age old theory that he physically couldn't like leave any gaps in the goal.
So I'm going to go straight up and tell you that because it's Billy Connolly, you already have this one. So
Okay.
I have no desire to fight this. I love Billy Connolly, and I think the character's a really good pick. Outside of that, I get it on record. King Fergus, I think, is also a better pick than Marlin. But you had me at Billy Connolly. you had me at Connolly, definitely. I wouldn't say you had me at Billy because you could have come out with anyone. But Connolly definitely.
Actually, it could have been Billy Crystal.
Yeah. I mean, in which case you probably also have been all right, but
it's just Billy's, isn't it?
Find me a Billy who's not an absolute barrel. Yeah, I think that's a great shout. Even though he's got one leg, which should be against him. He moves quite well, if I recall.
I think he does, and he's got that spirit where you'd never know that he's sort of got a disadvantage. He doesn't act like it, and I don't know. It's weird because the whole it's not the first character you think of in the film, but it's quite an important character in it, and sort of like the comic relief in the film, even the dark bits. So I think he's the kind of goalkeeper you give the armband to, especially if Buzz isn't playing, which he might not be after today.
What did you make of Brave? Did you like it as a film?
I loved Brave because I remember years ago, we went to the cinema to see. I think we went to be seeing Frozen with Jess's little sisters, who obviously they're not little now, but they were then, and we they wanted to see Frozen. But it was so in demand that there were no spaces left. So they said, well, you could see Brave, and we're like, what the hell's Brave? And it's one of them times where I was so happy that we ended up seeing it because it was actually really, really entertaining, and probably one of my favourite Pixar films, weirdly, because I do think there's just because it doesn't jump out, but it was actually it's actually a very solid film. And also I like that it's sort of not in America. It makes a change that it's Scottish, and also it's got a lot of genuine Scottish people in it instead of Americans trying so hard to be Scottish, which is quite refreshing. Did you like Brave?
Yeah, I know it's a little bit divisive, but I really liked it. I watched it way after it came out, so like years and years, because I'd always sort of heard odd things about it, and I wasn't really ready to be disappointed by a Pixar film. Then when I watched it, I thought it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like, is it up there in my sort of like top Pixar films, like a WALL-E or Monsters University?
Yeah, Monsters University is so underrated, even though it's a prequel.
It's better than Monsters Inc., I think.
It's. I mean, I'm not sure which I'd say was better, but it's so close, which is saying a lot.
They compete, which is which is half the battle. So,
like Rio Ferdinand says about Messi and Ronaldo, people argue which is the best, but just enjoy them both.
Yeah. Back to back with a massive tub of sweet and salty popcorn.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know, probably some dairy milk buttons, I think. Oh, and a massive. This is one thing I've missed so much over the last year is just going and getting the massive overpriced, like extra large, like refill Coke.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it comes straight out the machine, and you're just like, this is so watered down, and the ice is melting in it. So I'm literally drinking coloured water, but my word, or Pepsi.
Yeah, and
Just,
I
don't know.
And if you ask me if I'm going to spend extra on those little figures from films, you'd be absolutely right.
Oh, hell yeah!
I got all of the Avengers ones, I think.
Yeah, they're all sitting in a box somewhere. They might not have even moved house with me, but I've got them.
Yeah, I actually found my Winter Soldier one the other day, so I've got it somewhere safe.
Get that online. That'd be worth bare money.
Yeah, £5 maybe. Which probably isn't as much as I paid for it. I probably paid a lot more for it at the cinema. But that's just cinemas. That's the charm.
Well, so we know who's won this, but I've got some fun. Yeah. I've got some fun facts about Brave from Googling. If you're interested.
Yeah.
Merida was the first Disney princess created by Pixar.
Oh right.
So that's pretty cool. The film was dedicated to Steve Jobs, who died before the film's release.
I didn't know that.
Brave is Pixar's first film with a female protagonist, and it was also the first film that had a female director on it, as Brenda Chapman co-directed it with Mark Andrews. So there you go.
Oh, that's good.
And it won the Academy Award, Golden Globe, and BAFTA for Best Animated Feature Film. So it did all right, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I bet you anything they didn't expect it would do that well, but it did.
Yeah, and it's still doing well because it's getting you a goal and getting you back on level terms.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm even more grateful for it now.
Next, I'm going to go to centre back because I reckon there's an outside chance you've picked the same character.
Probably.
So I'm trying to get in there early and make sure that it's on my team, because I've gone for kind of just a good old-fashioned aggression machine. I've gone for anger from Inside Out.
Oh, really? I actually haven't. I was waiting to say the same pick as me. Oh, right, okay. I actually, I haven't seen Inside Out yet, weirdly.
No way.
Which is one of the only picks I haven't seen. Onward and Inside Out and Soul, and I think I've seen the rest of them, just not them three. Well, this is going to be very tough to judge, but I mean, to be honest, out of all my picks, this is probably the one that makes the least sense, or at least it's a close one with Buzz Lightyear. But I couldn't really leave. It's again, you're catching me out for my picking my heart over head choices, which I always thought you were planning on doing, but you've been successful. But I didn't want to have a full team of like tough guys, because obviously so far a lot of them are, and I wanted to have somebody kind of a bit skillful, but also maybe just a bit kind of streetwise and sort of capable of landing on the feet, maybe even if things aren't going their way. And I thought the best person for that would be Flick from A Bug's Life, so I've got him as my winger. Because he always sort of lands on his feet, even though he's one of them where it's kind of it's hard to explain how it works, but it does. Yeah,
I think that's solid. I love A Bug's Life.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's one of them those films you really hold close to you, because it's so, it's just like it's one of the first films you remember, isn't it?
And there's an epic game for it on like the PlayStation or something.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, Flick's a great shout. That's he was sitting on my bench because I couldn't quite decide where he'd go in the team. So I thought he'd be a good one to come off the bench. So that's one of my options out. But I think that's really solid, and also helps that his name is Flick.
Exactly. Flick on.
Yeah. So, I mean, already looking good.
It's so hard, isn't it? Because we are both sort of like trying to betray our own loyalty to fictional characters.
Oh, ultimately, it's a bit like you can't lose this week. You can't possibly lose.
Yeah.
And yet, here we are arguing to try and make the other lose. Or what normally happens is we argue to make ourselves lose. And it's who can concede slowest gets the point.
No, true. I think a lot of people do say that, and I'm like, yes, I know. We're both trying not to upset the other one, even though we know we won't. I'm actually looking up who voiced Anger in case it's somebody I'm attached to, like as an actor, and it isn't. I don't actually know who that is. So that's one thing that makes it slightly harder. I was waiting for it to be somebody who was like, oh, bro, if it was like a Jeff Goldblum or something, I'd be like, well, I can't beat them.
No, I thought his voice was very familiar, but I don't recognise the name now.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I look it up.
Yeah,
I don't know who I thought it was. I didn't think it was that, but
no. We should probably point out whoever Lewis Black is. He's the voice of Anger,
and does a really good job. Like he does a brilliant job in the film. Just did not know it was him. So
it's tough because I haven't seen Inside Out as well, so it's very hard for me to judge. You might just give yourself a win, which would make sense. And you're within your right to.
So there's this weird scene where Anger basically just starts playing football and he scores loads of goals. And so I think that's pretty much that. So move on. No, he's hot-headed. So I'm going for kind of like the aggressive, take ball, take legs, take everything type of centre back. There is, I think we could both agree that Flick's got a certain level of ingenuity.
And also, I mean, is Anger more formidable than Hopper from A Bug's Life?
Oh, right. You're going down a very strong angle here for yourself because Hopper scared me witless when I was younger. Absolutely terrifying, from like design to appearance to like even the music that comes in with him.
Yeah. And
just
also
his whole attitude.
That it was Kevin Spacey later down the line. That's actually scary now.
It's now terrifying. And there was that freaky grasshopper that ate like everything or threatened to eat the ants and stuff.
He had like a messed up eye, and he was clearly mental.
If Flick can stare that in the face and still come up with solutions.
That's all I'm saying, but I don't know Inside Out enough, so I don't want to. I don't know Inside Out, unfortunately.
Hopper, I don't think it's unfair to say Hopper would have been a much more intelligent adversary than Anger.
I kind of wish I had Hopper at centre back now.
Yeah. Can I pretend he's on my bench? No, because I'd lose. What? No, bad sub. Revert. Yeah, do you know what? I think I'm sort of impressed you've managed to get Flick in a position where like he not that I didn't think he could win, but I couldn't work out how to make him good. It's like he's like Forlan at United.
Yeah.
I couldn't work out how to make him work, but you have, and I admire that, and I think I can. I can tip my hat, and I can take this.
I'm surprised, to be honest, because I just thought he could make anything work, and there wasn't really any planning behind it, and now there is, and I'm like, actually, maybe it was a good idea.
I think you've absolutely nailed it, and I think it's a kind of perfect storm of a matchup as well. Like he's faced bigger and worse than Anger, and come out the other side. I think he probably gets around him.
All right, well, thank you.
2-1 to you. Uh-oh. Right, need both of these to level the series and win the match. So we're into the big boys, or should I say the good boys? Because I've gone for Doug from Up in centre midfield.
Oh my God, this is a very tough one, because I've actually gone for Carl Fredrickson from Up.
No.
So we've got an Up derby.
No way.
Because I just thought, to be honest, I won't give away who my manager is yet, but I swapped my manager and my central midfielder last minute, because I wasn't sure which was which was better kind of leading on the pitch and which was better leading from the sideline. So I swapped last minute. But I just think, even though he's kind of similar to Flick, really, where it doesn't necessarily make sense, but somehow he always makes it work. And obviously, he's clever enough to fly his house around the place. But also, he does put up quite a bit of a fight considering his age. So I expect he'd kind of be like a veteran midfielder, like a sort of, Pirlo towards his later years, or even like even like an Ambrosini or one of them, like a proper getting on a bit, but you wouldn't even know kind of midfielders. Obviously, I'm referencing players that played in Italy, but that's where you extend your career, and I think that's Carl, that's got to be Carl's way of thinking. So
I can see that.
It's an interesting derby, though.
Yeah, I pretty much went Doug, ball, done. Next. I mean, he's got a lot. Yeah, he's another one of these. We often dovetail nicely where we've got your classic sort of like pass master, aging midfielder versus a kind of energetic, sprightly one, stamina for days, keep going, shuttling back and forth, and it's a case of who ends up winning out of those. I mean,
the thing is, I can't help. I mean, as much as I really like the Carl Fredricksen character, like I'm just thinking, doesn't Doug kind of run rings around him a lot of the time in the film? I'm sure he runs him ragged pretty much the whole time he's in the film.
Yeah, it is. I think Doug's definitely got the better of Carl on the legs. It's just how much Carl can do to counteract that. Yeah,
I don't know. I can't help but think maybe I'm fighting a bit of a losing battle. It's kind of. I'm trying to think of it'd almost be like a training exercise in the French national team between like Matuidi and Kante. So Matuidi's like, please just slow down, and he's clearly very good, but Kante just doesn't stop, and he's too energetic and kind of just totally gleeful the whole time that he's because I don't know. I think maybe Doug has an essence of Kante in him.
Yeah.
Just a genuinely well-meaning person, but also just never ever tires.
Well, the relentlessness of Doug I'm quite happy for that to be the deciding factor here.
Well, and I mean, let's be honest, a dog's going to be good with a ball.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he is. In the film, oh my God, you know what? I just remembered I actually have to give it to you. I know it's going that way anyway, but if you remember, Carl Fredricksen has tennis balls on his what do you call it?
Walker?
What? Yeah, something like that. And I'm sure Doug gets one of the balls off it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he goes off running after them.
So technically he's got the ball off Carl.
Oh, brilliant.
So he can dispossess him. So yeah, I think I've got to go to Doug, which is fine because Up's one of my favourites, and I'm just happy an Up character's won, to be honest.
Yeah, no losers there. 2-2, take us down to a final shootout.
Brilliant
for the title or for a split of the title.
Yeah.
It all boils down to this: the last goal of the last game. High drama in the Pixar match, and it's somewhat like the film I've picked from. So you're going to get here my winger, but wombo comboed in with my manager. I'm going for it straight from the off. No need to dance around it. Is that legal? Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, why not? I'm sure you've mixed your manager in somewhere in the past. You did with Sitcoms Week.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess if my manager is your centre back pick, then that's tough for me. I'll lose him. I think that's the only fair way to do it, because otherwise you might end up losing out unfairly.
Yeah.
But I've gone for Pixar's dream combo. And as I've said that out loud, I've thought Buzz and Woody, which it isn't. So I've gone for the other dream combo. We've already mentioned them before, series before in the episode. So I've gone for on the wing, I've got James P. Sullivan and the managerial maestro that is Mike Wazowski.
Oh no, this is terrible for me. Because I'm going to have to make a sub. Because I've actually got James P. Sullivan at centre back.
Oof!
It would have been James P. Sullivan versus himself.
Wait, which movie did you have him from?
I actually had Monsters Inc. So I've got the old. Yeah, I'm assuming you've got University.
I've gone Scare Games.
Ah, right. Which I think I know is quite a controversial subject to many, but I think University one would beat Inc. one because he's got he's got that raw talent back then, as opposed to the kind of he's a bit more grown up, but it kind of takes away the energy he brings.
Lost his edge a bit, maybe.
I think so, yeah. But I mean, to be honest, I actually had this player at centre back anyway. So I think I'm going to bring on one of my subs because I had two options at centre back, and obviously it's the last chance to use it, and I've not always used my subs anyway. So I've only actually got two people on my bench, but I'm going to bring on this one, and it's another player in a similar mould. But I'm going to bring on Wreck-It Ralph from Wreck-It Ralph. Fine,
yes, Sullivan if he shaved.
Yeah, pretty much. I did nearly have Nemo in my team just for his name, but then I thought, let's be honest, he'll go missing in big games. Exactly. So, and also just for the sake of transparency, my manager I picked was Edna Mode from The Incredibles.
Great shout.
Because I thought she can plan anything, can't she? That was why I swapped between her and Carl a bit, because I had her in midfield, and then I thought, no, she'll be planning. She's one of them players that knows that she's not going to really make it big as a player and is just waiting to be a manager.
Yeah.
She's a Julian Nagelsmann. Which is very, very topical at the moment. But yeah, well, God, I don't know how we decide this then. But you do have a tough combination.
I've got good chemistry there. They're both the university version.
It's kind of like like Lampard and Mason Mount, where it's like he knows exactly what he's thinking, and he'll do anything to play him.
And Mike showed a really good aptitude at the Scare Games for the tactics. That's how he kept Uzma Kappa with a shout right until the end.
True.
Good bond there, good relationship.
Yeah.
Shall I tell you while we have a little think about how we could solve this? Shall I tell you my other manager option, because I thought it was quite a good choice, and if I hadn't gone for the chemistry, I'd have gone for it.
Yeah. I
was going to go for Jerry from Jerry's Game, the chess short.
Oh, you know what? I was so tempted.
That tactician angle just seemed like
and also he's very technical, because if you remember, it's the same guy that fixes up Woody.
Is it?
The old guy playing chess.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I remember being I really loved that it was like the same guy. And I remember when he said, and for some reason it always stuck with me. I don't know why, but it just showed I'm such a dramatic person, I guess. But and he says you can't rush art, and I was like, I'll remember that forever, and I always have.
There you go, big universe coming into play again.
I know he keeps coming back in and out, but yeah, it's a shame he never had his own film. But that's just a very sad story for another sad time.
I might have just got you on a technicality.
How?
Is Wreck-It Ralph Pixar?
Surely.
I think it's Walt Disney animation.
Oh, I think you're right. I didn't know there's a difference.
Other than the fact that Walt Disney has been they upped their game with animation. Like Zootopia is or Zootropolis, depending on which region you're in, is like
Oh, right.
a star film. I love that.
I love
film.
that, and the social commentary of that they make with it is so clever.
Yeah, brilliant film.
And not
But
too on the nose as well, which is nice.
Shakira's in there, which always, I know she's a big fan of the podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, Shakira. Whenever, wherever, if you want to guest slot, no.
We'd obviously let you do it. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
with integrity.
Yeah, whatever. Shakira, that's the dream star, right? We get her involved.
Well, God, I actually didn't know I didn't really know there was a difference, but yeah, that does kind of ruin it for me. So I kind of I mean, apparently they're obviously linked, but they're not the same, and so
it's executive produced by John Lasseter. It's got all the hallmarks of it. It looks like it. It tastes like it. It smells like it.
As if me bringing a sub on's actually ruined it. No wonder I never make subs.
Yeah, I know. I never use them. Oh dear.
Yeah. Well, I've gone on to Quora, our old friend, and Pixar and Disney Animation are technically separate companies. So you know what I've done? If you remember what Rafa Benitez did for Real Madrid when he played I think it was Denis Cheryshev in the Copa del Rey, and he was ineligible and he got kicked out of the competition and he ended up losing his job. That's exactly what I've done. And I've broken the rules and therefore I've lost a point and you've won. No way past it.
Well, there you go.
Who knew it? I thought this could go a number of ways, but never this way.
Yeah. What a finale. What a conclusion.
To lose, but to also lose in such a shameful way. I'll never live this down.
Well, fortunately, that levels the series and we can let the internet do the battle for whether we care about goal difference or not.
Oh, yeah, true. I
Glorious.
kind of wish that wasn't there, but,
Yeah.
Let him talk.
We'll split a trophy. It's all good. Grande. Good stuff.
God. Well, fair play. Deserved. That's it. Season 1 completed. We'd both like to say thank you to everyone who listened and hope you'll keep tabs on what we've got coming up. Season 2 is on the horizon and we want to make sure it's as good as it possibly can be. Not only ensuring that you're all enjoying it, but that we're continuing to love it as much as we did in episode 1. In the meantime, we'll be licking our wounds, reflecting on season 1 and a season review, publishing a few behind-the-scenes clips, and who knows, maybe even release a few specials. If you'd like to listen to past episodes, tell us your thoughts on this week's episode, or the podcast in general, or just get updated on the latest developments, you can via Twitter at FantFantFootPod, Instagram at FantFantFoot, and on YouTube on the official Fantasy Football podcast channel. Whether in this format or another, we will return soon where me and David can once again attempt to outdo the other in yet another edition of Fantasy Football.